What's up, everybody? It's been one heck of a week here. John Della Rose, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction. Believe it or not, I had to move houses in the middle of this pandemic lockdown crisis that we're all in. So hectic. I had to disinfect everything. A lot of work unpacking and all that. Finally got this done. I'm mostly set up in an office right here. As you can tell, it's a little echoey. I don't have a carpet or anything. We got these wood floors and I had a bookshelf going. Might as well show you this real quick. And then I got my games in a shelf over there. So this is where we're at. It's good stuff. But I read the Uncanny X-Force this week while I was moving. Pretty quick read. Rick Remender was the writer. He's kind of known for like his indie work on like Deadly Class and stuff like that. And he actually put out a tweet earlier this week. Somebody said, "What Marvel character would you like to most?" And he's like, "I just like writing my own stuff." And I kind of really respect that. And it kind of felt like he did that here. This Uncanny X-Force is a strange amalgamation of a couple characters who he chose at the time. And I don't know why he chose them, but he did. Wolverine, well, I know why he chose a couple of them. Wolverine is just in everything for sales. You got Deadpool, who's also in everything for sales. You got Psylocke. You got Angel, and you got Phantomex, something like that. One of Grant Morrison's creations from New X-Men, I was informed. All right, so basically they're formed this assassin team, and they've got this like hyper-realistic, overly detailed art, which, you know, is really pretty up front. I forget who did the art on the first arc. Let me look. Leonardo Manco, and then her own Opeña. And then after these guys kind of get going, the art dips a little bit, but it's you know, it's all this, you got Billy Tan, probably Rodriguez, so you got the same sort of realistic style art throughout the entire thing. It's actually one long story for the most part, and it starts out with just them being badass assassins, and it's dark and edgy and dark and deconstructing the heroes, and, you know, pretty much honestly everything I don't like about comics typically. And I really didn't connect well to this. This sort of like Alan Moore anti-hero hero style writing where they're like self-reflecting about, you know, whether they're actually doing good or not, or whether they're actually just creating more problems by their preemptive whatever is, you know, I don't know. It's just not that fun to me. And, you know, when I'm in the middle of a pandemic, it's really not that fun. It's probably a bad time to read this sort of stuff. But basically there's this kid apocalypse you find out as they're doing these missions. And eventually, as it rolls through, yeah, I mean, the art's very pretty. You know, and another thing on this art style, while it's really detailed, it looks all cool, the colors are all saturated, and so it really just, everything pops. You know, you notice there's a lot less like dynamic element to it than like, you know, some of the just like classic style comics. You just don't feel the fluidity and feel the action compared to some other stuff. And so while it's pretty to look at, again, I just don't relate to this art style very well. They go through and they eventually just pop that little kid Apocalypse as he's becoming the regular Apocalypse in the head and just kill him. And here is Warren Worthington also has a crisis where he's got like this archangel devil like kind of brooding inside of him, waiting to take over through this entire thing, becoming bad too. And they're there. Here's that big reveal. And that's where the big spoiler for the whole deal is. And it goes on, and then they kind of deal with the fallout from that for the rest of this whole deal. And they end up going to different, you know, they end up going to like the Apocalypse universe, because they want to cure Archangel of his problems. And like I said, the art changes. I actually like this style a little bit better, personally. Even though it's a little less detailed, it feels more comic booky. You got like this Deathlock corpse coming from the future to try to kill everybody. And it all builds. I mean, it's all very nicely woven. Like from a technical standpoint, like very nicely woven story. You know, he dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's and all that. Whoops, got a bookmark in there still. It just, I just had a hard time connecting to the whole thing because it was just so dark. Everybody's got their evil, dark secrets and everybody's done terrible things and you know, as it goes through, they just do more terrible things. And, you know, I mean, you see it in here. You got the blood and the gore, and they're just kind of standing there. It was the only option. So they go into the Apocalypse world, which I never read Age of Apocalypse. I got to do that at some point. And so, you know, you meet all these characters. And here's the other thing that kills me about a lot of modern comics, is that, you know, somebody will die, but, you know, like Nightcrawler is apparently dead in this, but like Apocalypse, Nightcrawler shows up. And he's back alive again. I'm not your Nightcrawler, but he kind of is. And, you know, it's like, here he is. And it's just kind of a weird situation where, like, you know, it doesn't really matter, because if somebody dies, they can come back. You know, Phantom X eventually does like this whole like heroistic thing where he, you know, sacrifices himself, and I really don't like the way they do the Blob now. I don't want to look at that, you know. But I mean, it's just like there's just not a fun factor to it. I mean, it's got lots of references for all the people who love the Apocalypse saga and all that. It's got like I said, the technical detail on every level, from the art to the writing, is just, you know, it's dialed. It really is dialed. I can't deny the talent on this, but it just doesn't have that fun factor because, you know, nothing that happens to these characters matter. Deadpool's always going to regenerate. Wolverine's going to regenerate. You know, I mean, if you kill them, you kill them. It doesn't matter. Now we got two that you can just not kill. And eventually they end up having to kill this Archangel, but then he gets reborn as like regular Warren, and he just doesn't remember his relationship from before. So that ends the relationships. The relationships don't even matter because who knows? You know, that's the problem with these modern comics in general, is that just everything just gets reset. Everything just has like 50,000 different universes to draw the same character from, so it doesn't even matter if one dies, because he might just come back, you know? And probably will just come back. So, you know, it's just like you've got 30, 40 issues of this. Wolverine's kissing Jean Grey of some other world, of course. None of it ends up mattering. And that's like the inherent nihilism of all this. And, you know, that's what the characters are going through also in this storyline, because they kill the kid Apocalypse. Warren becomes bad. They're dealing with that. Warren then becomes Apocalypse in his own way. Yeah, so it just continues along like this. And, you know, that's it. Like I said, some of the art changes. I like this style of art better. It's just, again, it at least feels like a comic book here a little bit more. And they go into Otherworld, which is another, you know, world, and there's like a whole trial and all that, and they're on trial for their own sins, I guess, in doing this, and all the characters just don't feel like they're doing anything heroic or accomplishing anything at the end of the day. And memories get lost, people die and come back. They fight things in other worlds. And it just becomes a sort of futile effort. And at the end of it all, they disband in a futile effort. So that's it. I don't know. I know this is a very celebrated run in general, and that people really love this. But it just didn't do it for me. I just could not connect to much of this. I don't none of the characters felt very heroic throughout all this. It just felt like an endless cycle of evil and anger and darkness. And so, you know, it just didn't work for superheroes, in my opinion. And so that's about it. They end up, you know, saving Archangel. They end up saving the kid and his new incarnation, you know, as they come back in time and all that. So everything kind of gets undone. And then we end. And Wolverine ends up having to like kill his own son. Really, really dark. And, you know, everybody parts ways. It's like this run never happened, except for everybody's sadder. Everybody's a little bit angrier. Nobody really connects. It's all nihilistic. And so, yeah, I just, I don't want that in my reading personally. So I get it. Like I said, it's technically proficient. I mean, everything about this is so technically proficient. It's, you know, it's up there on that level. And I know this is a highly sought after. It came to reprint just now because it was so much in demand. But, you know, I'd rather read some of the old stuff where the heroes kind of feel more like heroes. And I don't get that sort of deconstruction vibe out of it. So that's it. Uncanny X-Force just didn't do it for me. Technical proficiency is there, so I got to give it like a 7 out of 10 just because you can look at the pretty art and the story's competently written. But beyond that, I think it's a bit overrated by people. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, and I will talk to you guys soon.